Hello YouTube and welcome to the channel. Now in today's video we're going to be setting an unofficial world land speed record for this. It's the Heliway K Motivator. Now I've had a quick look online and as far as I'm aware nobody's bothered to do this. I'm not entirely surprised. So anyway, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to create the world's fastest Heliway K Motivator. Now personally I think the best way to set a world record is to pick something really obscure like this and then try and make it go as fast as you possibly can, because odds on nobody else will have attempted it, so you will probably end up being the fastest. Now then, to help us create the world's fastest motivator, we've had a little bit of help from Surpass Hobby and Banggood. Banggood have very kindly supplied me with Surpass Hobby's it's basically 1/16, 1/18 scale a brushless conversion kit. So we are going to be using this today to shove in this motivator. Now before we go any further, we'll have a quick look at the contents of the kit, which are, we've got some instructions. The servo, we'll come to that in a minute. Now we've got our little, what is it, a 2440 4600 kV brushless motor. We've also got a little 35 amp ESC. Now I'm not sure if you can run this on 2 and 3S, that would be useful. Now then, that's all great, but have you seen the servo that Surpass Hobby supply? I don't know about anybody else, but I've never come across many or any 1/16, 1/18 scale RCs with a 3 kilogram servo like that. It's absolutely huge. I don't know what RCs they're supposed to be fitting these to, but they're certainly not 1/16 or 1/18 scale. So we'll probably end up putting this to one side and using it on something else, and we're going to have to find a suitable 3-wire servo that will fit in the motivator. Now before we fit our brushless kit here and set our world record, what we need to do is find out how fast this thing is stock. Now according to the bump off Heliway, this thing will do 23 miles an hour. We shall soon see. So what I'll do is I'll get my speedo on it, take it outside, give it a little run round and see what the top speed of this thing is. Right then, we're outside, speedo is zeroed. This is the stock motivator and according to the box it should do 23 miles an hour. So let's see how fast it does actually go. So as standard, this thing does 13.7 miles an hour. We'll call it 14 mile an hour just to be kind. It's a little bit different from the 23 mile an hour stated on the box, isn't it? So there you have it, a top speed of 14 miles an hour out the box. Just a little bit of a difference from the 23 miles an hour that is stated on the box. I don't know how the hell manufacturers calculate these performance figures for these little RCs. They literally must drop them out of a window in a vacuum to get the sort of numbers that they do, because 14 miles an hour is nowhere near 23 miles an hour. Anyway, let's start taking this thing apart. Let's start putting the brushless kit in, and I wonder if we can actually get this stated 23 miles an hour out of this by the time we've finished. So underneath the covers, this is what we're dealing with. At the front we've got our little ESC stroke receiver, and we are going to be replacing that with our little Flysky receiver here. We've got a 3-wire steering servo, but unfortunately we're not going to be able to reuse it because it's got a daft plug on the end, and it won't, unfortunately, it won't fit into the Flysky receiver. The motor we're going to replace, obviously, with our Surpass brushless item. Now, the only 2 problems I can see with this is going to be getting this little pinion gear off, because we've got to reuse it. And this motor here is supported on both ends. Now unfortunately there's not provision for that on the Surpass motor. It'll only be supported at the front, so I'm hoping it'll be strong enough that it won't move around with torque, etc. Because if it does, it'll probably mash up that plastic gear. And talking of plastic gears, this thing has a complete plastic transmission, so how long it's going to last in brushless form I have absolutely no idea. But anyway, I'm going to remove all of the bits and pieces that I don't want, and we'll crack on. So I've taken the motor mount off our old brushed motor and fitted it to the Surpass Hobby motor here. Everything lines up, everything fits. Now, unfortunately, on the Surpass Hobby motor, the shaft is a little bit longer than the original brushed one. So I'm just going to have to cut a little hole in this lower portion of the plastic chassis here and the upper cover as well. That's not too much of an issue. I'm now in the processes of trying to remove the old motor pinion using my little handy dandy pinion remover here. I'll put a link in the description to where you can get one of these, because it's worth its weight in gold. So I'm going to try and get this off, and then the next big thing will be trying to refit it to the new brushless motor in the right place as well. So I've managed to get the old pinion off and put it onto the shaft of the new brushless motor here. The only trouble is it was a very easy fit pushing it onto the brushless motor shaft. So what I've had to do, hopefully it'll hold, I've just put a bit of thread lock on the shaft when I pushed it on. Hopefully it'll hold long enough for us to do what we need to do with it. But it was, if anything's going to fail, it will be this gear, I'm sure, just simply rotating on the shaft, because it was far too easy of a fit. The other problem I had was I couldn't get, for some odd reason, the micro steering servo I had. The output spline shaft was slightly different to the Motivator one. It was slightly larger, so getting this sort of servo saver assembly on. Try that after a few bevies. Servo saver assembly on. I really did have to force it, but it's gone on. It seems to be holding all right, but again, I'm not 100% happy with it, but it'll have to do. I have tested all the electronics, attached them all together, tried everything. Everything's working. Got steering, etc. We've got throttle on the old motor there. So what I'm going to do is put the motor into the chassis. Now, I've had a quick go, and unfortunately the mesh isn't brilliant, so I'm going to have to support the back of the motor in some way, shape or form. I've got some of these little foam pads here, so because when it meshes with the main reduction gear, it's sort of all to cock. So anyway, I'm going to try shoving some of those pads underneath and see if I can't get this to mesh with this a little bit better. Okay, then this is as far as we've got. I've put the foam pads on the motor, so that I think that's improved the mesh no end. I've put the cover on. With servo we've done. Receiver, I'm going to put the receiver on this little cross member here. Just going to use some tie wraps. This is just rough at the moment, just so I can get the idea of where everything's going. I'm going to put the ESC on this piece of chassis here. I'm going to hot glue it on. I should be alright to hold it in place. And power lead, I've just cut a larger hole basically using the little Dremel to accept so I can put the power lead through it, and that's about it really. Once that's done, we can pretty much go and try this and see if we can set a new world record. Right then, I think that's about it. ESC is where I want it to be, receiver is where I want it to be, the motor seems to be meshing nice with the rest of the drivetrain. There's a little 2S 1600 milliamp hour LiPo in the battery compartment, just got the lead poking out here. So I think we're ready to go. I think we're ready to try this. I'm just waiting for the Flysky transmitter to charge up, and then I think we'll go and try it now. In all good true British tradition, it's just started raining outside. Hopefully it'll abate slightly, and if it does, we'll go out and we'll definitely see if we can put some speed runs on this. How long the transmissions are going to last in this thing, I have absolutely no idea, but we're pretty much ready to rock and roll. So let's go and set a world speed record. Well, that's pretty much it. I can't really get it to go any faster. 18.8 miles an hour. Bit gutted really, considering that it's not even as quick as the stated speed on the box. But never mind, I'm going to stick a fresh battery in it, try another couple of runs and then see what happens. Well, there we go, a couple more runs, 19 miles an hour with a fresh battery. That's pretty much it really. Bit gutted, but at least it's faster than it was. Right then, back inside, and a bittersweet result really. I was desperate to equal or better the 23 miles an hour that the manufacturer claimed as the top speed for this thing. Even though we made a significant increase from what it actually does, 13 miles an hour to 19 miles an hour. Like I say, I really wanted to sort of beat that manufacturer's top speed, even though it's like spurious. I don't know how they get away with actually assigning top speed or calculating the top speeds for this thing, because there's a massive difference between 13 miles and the actual thing doing 13 miles an hour and the manufacturer claiming 23. So that's a massive difference. Anyway, we made a significant inroad into that, and it is much quicker. Now, would I recommend the Surpass Hobby kit? And the answer is absolutely yes. It does exactly what it says it's going to do. It makes something a bit quicker. Wasn't quite as quick as I wanted, but we might be able to remedy that later on down the road. Now, as far as I'm concerned, there's only one downside to this Surpass Hobby kit, and it's the enormous steering servo they give you. Now, I don't know if anybody in their right mind would supply a steering servo like that to fit 1/16 and 1/18 scale RCs, because it's just enormous. I don't know any RCs of that scale with that servo on. So Surpass Hobby, just supply the kit with a smaller, knock a bit of money off and supply the kit with a smaller steering servo. You're onto a winner then. But that is way too big. Anyway, like I said before, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It makes your RC a little bit quicker. And although we didn't quite get the manufacturer's claimed top speed, there is still quite a lot to come from this. The fact that we're only running a 35 amp ESC. I mean, the motor's 4600 kV. There are larger kV motors available, and obviously there's always running it on 3S, which the ESC is more than capable of taking. And as far as I'm concerned, this is the world's fastest Heliway K Motivator. If anyone's got any information to the contrary, by all means bang a comment in the comment section. I'd be more than happy to hear from you. But until that happens, as far as I'm concerned, unofficially, this is the world's fastest motivator. As ever, if you found this video of some use and interest, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you're feeling that way inclined, hit that subscribe button for more similar future content. And don't forget to stay tuned, guys, to see this thing on 3S.